Hi there, David Turner here in the editing suite. Unfortunately, we had a few problems recording this one. No one's fault really. Well, I suppose it was mine. But Audio Hijack Pro decided to just ramp up my mic over everyone else's, so it peaks a little bit. But I've tried to tidy it up a little bit. Hopefully, it's not too bad. If you don't enjoy the first 10 minutes, then delete, which is a shame because this one's a banger. Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Sean Bell.
All right.
And John Denton.
Hello.
You all right, mate?
That wasn't much fanfare.
What did you want?
Guest.
What did you want? That's not how we do things anymore. There's no get to know you guest. Although I would like to ask him some questions, but just to explain, Matt. I think people think I was joking last week when I said that Matt had all the stuff in his house stolen, but no, he literally got burgled, and he's got nothing.
Funny joke.
Current update: Matt's found one of his Mac Minis. Well, he found his Mac Mini in a CEX.
Kidding?
No, he stumbled across it and he rung me up, like quivering with excitement. But then also realised that actually that might mean that he has to get his old crappy Mac back and not spend the insurance money on a new Mac. But so he kind of regretted finding it. But yeah, no, that's mental. But also,
I know like everyone jokes about CEX being a stolen phone emporium and everything, but I've never actually heard of that happening.
If you remember when I was burgled, I went into CEX and I asked and said, has anyone tried to sell a MacBook or anything? Yeah. And the manager got all arsey with me. No, we check all our serial numbers, And to be fair, they do. It's just Matt took a while to fill out his serial number spreadsheet the way he does, And didn't manage to didn't manage to submit it in time before it was sold to CEX. But yeah, weird one. But yeah, so no, he's literally got no equipment at the moment, so that's why he's not recording. James Farley is, I don't know, he's on holiday. He just said I'm on holiday, and that was it.
Look, it's almost like he doesn't want you to know.
It's almost like he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore, Sean, if I'm totally honest with you. And who would blame him, because he's currently being abused a lot. Right, okay, John.
You can't just throw that out there.
Sorry, by me is the implication there. I wasn't like, Jesus, yeah. No, good point. Thanks for correcting me. How you been, John? All right? It's been a long time since you podcasted.
I guess it has, yeah. I don't think I've done any podcast since we finished ours, whenever that was. I can't remember, 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah, I think it's about a year ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, so what, have you missed it?
For ages and ages, because the amount of work. I mean, if anybody listening don't know, I did a podcast with my friend Chet for ages, 150 odd episodes, where we did 10 games a week, and often we'd repeat the game week after week. But still, it was a lot of graft just to have that many games to talk about every single week. And yeah, I've not missed that at all, to be honest. It's only recently in the last maybe sort of couple of months that I've sort of had the itch to talk about games or anything really. I never fell out of love with games, but yeah, just talking about them being on a podcast was not something I was interested in until now.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like the reason why I started again, because we did have a question. I think it was on the Lost episode. The reason why I started up again was because I did miss podcasting. And I was still playing games as often as I was anyway. But it's just like Harry would sleep in the evenings. So it was kind of like, well, I'm sitting here doing nothing really. Like I could probably record a conversation every couple of hours. And I was itching to get back to it. But then we didn't have that format, man. But like trying to string 10 games together a week is insanity.
Yeah, it was. Well, when we started, I've talked about this on the show itself, but when we started, both of us were getting quite a lot of small reviews in, like reviews for Pocket Gamer and things like that. So in a week, I'd probably played 7 or 8 games for work anyway, smaller scale games. So when we started, it wasn't too much of an issue. But by the end, it was just, trying to find 10 things from scratch every single week to talk about, to not keep going over the same games week after week.
Also, while you were when you started, that there was still a bit of a mobile game scene going.
Yeah, before everything went free to play and terrible.
Yeah, and then you had the like XBlig and stuff, which again, that's no longer about on these consoles, are they?
Yeah, my PC's now dead. It just sits here, this big black box sitting next to me.
But I find that insane because if you're listening to this and thinking the sound quality is not quite as good as it has been, that's because we're having to like take a direct Skype record, and that was because John hasn't got anything that can run Audacity and Skype at the same time. I mean, it probably can, but the risk is that it all fails and like we lose another episode.
I would have definitely done what James did. There's no two ways about it.
But like,
I used to record it all, the previous one, and the few times I had to do it when he wasn't there was a nightmare.
But when you told me that, I was kind of like, but haven't you got that really nice big gaming PC that you had? What's happened to it?
I installed Windows 10 on it. It was like, do you want Windows 10? And I was like, oh, yeah, all right, I guess. I hadn't played on it for a while anyway. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then it did its thing. And I turned it back on and it just went to a black screen. And I tried it again and I looked online and just went to a black screen. I was like, all right. So I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll just go into the menus at the beginning, whatever they're called, and do like a reset. I'll just reset it or go back in time or something. And then I somehow deleted the entire operating system off the thing. So Windows 10 was a digital download, so I don't have the discs for it. I couldn't find the disc for Windows 7, and now it just sits here. I should do something about it, really, but I mean, I've got a lot to do. I mean, I don't need it for work right now, so it's just kind of sitting there. I've kind of forget. I don't know if you're like this in your house. If you just have things that sit there for long enough, they just become part of your house. If you go back to my family home, there's VHS tapes sitting at the top of the stairs in my family home that have been there since mid-90s, and they're still there. It would take my mum literally 10 seconds to pick them up and put them somewhere, but they're still there.
Awesome.
It was like in my family home, I replaced a picture family. Like my mum's got one of those long sort of picture frame things with loads of different photos in it, and I replaced one of the whole family with just a picture of the Fonz doing the thumbs up, and it took her about a year to notice it, but after she noticed it, she went, "Oh, we've done that, well I'm gonna have to change that now." Still there. That was literally about 5 or 6 years ago. It's still right in the front room, picture of the Fonz with his thumbs up.
Like keeping broken stuff especially is because like, you know, when you watch like hoarders and stuff, have you ever Yeah. And like you just hear the people like always saying like, oh, but you know, like if I can get around to repairing this, it'll be worth keeping. And like I see that, it's like, fuck, that's what I do. Like I'm nowhere near as bad, but I just keep stuff that's clearly fucked. And just thinking, yeah, but if I just get around to sorting it.
It's true. I mean,
no, I never will. Just fucking bin it.
You know, the worst for that is dead pads, dead controllers, gaming controllers. Like,
mate, I had to, because you know, like, so I got 2 house rabbits, and they like to chew cables, and I lost 3 Xbox 360 controllers to them. And I had to just set aside an evening, nearly giving myself a fucking migraine trying to resolder the wires on those. It was great.
It's a shame that Microsoft didn't bring out something like a controller for the 360 that didn't have wires.
That'd be really useful, that, wouldn't it?
You wouldn't have had that issue, but there you go. Yeah. Right, okay, this week there's been a few bits of news, but the ones that stick out, mainly because we were chatting about this last week, and things have changed somewhat. So we'll start with No Man's Sky. That's been delayed now till when? August. And we were talking about it last week, and you were saying about these videos that are out there that do explain what the game is, despite the fact that
I think, like I said, I've never.
Well, I did.
The point I was making is just that there's stuff out there that we've definitely not seen, and we were just sort of sitting there going, "Oh, it's wank. They haven't told us what the game's like." It seemed a bit unfair.
Well, I think I did go on to YouTube and start looking at those videos, and there's 2 problems. For first, it's mainly all on IGN, so it's like kind of I don't really read IGN or look at any of their content, so it's kind of like that's why I've missed that. Secondly, I mean, the stuff there was a video put up about a month ago that showed a bunch of new stuff that got me interested again, and I was like, okay, right, I can see me playing this now. Thank God. I wasn't even looking out for it when, you know, based on the stuff we've previously seen. But But there was still a few things that really wound me up about it, right? So they showed you going onto a planet and naming things, as they always do. Then they showed you how you can upgrade your gun for it to become a mining gun. So not only is the planet completely... like you can explore the whole planet, you can also blast holes in it and find caves underneath things and stuff like that. And that was like, okay, yeah, that's really cool. So he blasted a hole in the floor and there was a big cave underneath, and he went around and saw new species and stuff like that. Then he showed a bit of the fighting. Like there was a huge drop ship, or whatever you want to call it, flying through the sky, and he went in and nicked some resources and then got blown up, and then he respawned inside that ship, and that whole ship's got like a whole interior, and he was saying NPCs can be here, it's a bit different, people flying and you can trade with them and stuff like that, and I was thinking, okay, this is all new stuff, this is really cool. And then he went back to the map and said, oh, look how big the map is, and I just went, mate, come on. Stop showing me how big the fucking map is. Like, there was a moment where he was explaining how if you look at a planet, like say when you played Mass Effect 1, you looked at a planet and it was like this huge planet, but there was one little area that you can go to and that was it. And it was it was this little area on this planet. He was saying if you look down at that planet, see those tiny little islands in the ocean, you can literally fly down to those oceans and they exist. And then he went to the map, and I was kind of thinking, right, we've seen the map, we've seen how huge this is, we all get that. Prove what you've just said, because that would be really cool. To like go, look at this bit, right, we're going to fly down to that specific bit. Or get the guy who's playing it to pick a bit to fly down to, because then that proves that, that whole planet is actually modelled, or at least it can be generated from the algorithms behind it and stuff. But, so although I'm more interested than I was, there's still nothing there to tell me, okay, this is what's going to drive you into this game, this is what's going to keep you there, you know what I mean?
I think that what makes me more wary than anything is when you say about like when they bang on about the scale of it and stuff, it reminds me of Will Wright did a really good presentation of Spore when that was still in development, and it was like the whole thing was about an hour long. It's really interesting because however you feel about his games, he's always an interesting person to listen to. And he starts out and he's everything's at like a cellular level at like, the start of the game. And then like, basically over the course of about 10 minutes, he's sort of explaining each stage of the game and then like zooms out a bit. So he's like, cellular level, and then, here's some little creatures, and then zoom out again, here's cities, zoom out again, here's a whole planet, and it zooms out, and there's, a whole fucking galaxy, and the whole audience is like absolutely losing their minds. But Spore was rubbish. It just wasn't a good game.
Did you play it?
Yeah.
Spore, Spore was that the EA thing?
Yeah.
I'm getting that mixed up with that Microsoft thing that come out, Project Spark, for some reason.
Which they binned off the other week, didn't they?
They did.
That was a shame. I presume Project Spark was rubbish as well.
No, I did. I booted it up once, got to the menu, and just went nope.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Spore was just like as a game, just wasn't that enjoyable. So now whenever people are like, look, you can zoom out loads and there's a big galaxy, I'm like, yeah. Which is completely unfair, probably.
See, it is and it isn't, because I think that, that is incredible. What they've done is incredible. Fine, but why is that good for me? Like, they said the other day, like on this video that I watched, that 99% of the stuff that's in the game will never be discovered. So coming across something that's been named by someone is a big deal. And I was just kind of like, what's the point in naming things if no one's ever going to see it? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know. And then I do worry about these species that are roaming the planets and stuff. How many of them is going to be like, oh yeah, it's like this one, but no, it's got a tail. There's so many questions that that I've got about this game.
I think they like the fact that it's been so long in development and they've delayed it even further still. I hope that is a signifier that they are maybe handcrafting more of it than they're letting on.
Yeah,
because it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, it's maths that makes all the planets. That's smart, isn't it? Which is, but like you say, you're going to start seeing repetition quite quickly. So what I'm hoping is they are actually going in and making more things than they're letting on.
John, have you got any interest in No Man's Sky?
It looks like a nightmare to me. Something that's got on. Like you said, it's undeniably impressive from what we've seen so far. Like, especially considering their origins of the studio, and it was just 3 or 4 guys making Joe Dangerous, whatever it's called, to expanding to still a small team. Amazing and ambitious, but I don't know. It's something that aimless, something that vast. It doesn't seem. I don't want to pass any sort of judgment at this stage. I haven't seen
of course not.
Live. I've only seen a couple of videos and presentations and things like that. But even if there is plenty of stuff to do, it seems to have so little respect for your time. And I don't think I want to spend that much time exploring a galaxy. That feels like I could feel the seconds of my life ticking away as I just floated through the ether, looking for another planet with, like you say, some weird skunk with a weird face.
Yeah.
I mean,
naming him Brian.
I don't know if I want to do that, but I think it's going to be one of those games that I wait for the good reviewers and people who I trust and whose thoughts and opinions interest me to kind of see what they make of it. And if somebody manages to kind of bury down and pull out a really interesting thread about what makes this game special beyond its sort of vast scope, then maybe I'll get involved. But as it is, I mean, they're terrifying. Like, when he pulls out that map, I'm just like, ugh. It's like, I don't even want to take a step into that. Even a Bethesda game at the moment is too daunting. So something infinite.
It is the game that I'm like. I mean, I'm most looking forward to the reviews for that game than any other, because I think you do have a sense of whether you'll like a game before the reviews sort of hit home, and it's very rare that a game comes out where the reviews kind of sway you either way. For me, anyway, personally. Although that kind of changed with Overwatch, that was one of the rare games this week, but we'll get to that. With No Man's Sky, I could fall either way. I genuinely feel that I don't know enough about it. So when that embargo lifts and we start seeing reviews and scores and stuff, that's going to be fucking interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, there was a lot. They got a lot of grief about the delay, but I'd be surprised if either of you were genuinely upset about it, rather than taking the rational thought of, hey, let's make sure it's working first before it's released this time.
I mean, I don't see that stuff anymore because I can follow pretty much everybody who moans about video games, and life's much sweeter for doing so. But...
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot more people on my timeline saying, why are people angry about the delay, than people getting angry about the delay. But 6
weeks or something. Like just a negligible amount of time. Maybe when you're still 15, that feels like ages. There's your whole summer holidays.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe it's the summer holidays. That's what's fucked them.
I doubt it. I just think it's the people that love fucking moaning. I think that's more likely. The other thing that was announced this week, I say announced, there was an interview, a Last Guardian article, in Edge, where the game was pretty much announced for 2016. I mean, they didn't say this is definitely coming out 2016, but there was a quote saying this is the year that we'll be seeing The Last Guardian. And it was something we were talking about last week, Sean, because you said that you were starting to not feel interested at all now, but now...
I'm still interested, just like I'm not in that like default position of, it's by Team Eco, it's going to be fucking incredible.
Why not? What's changed for you?
Well, I say, like the sort of the thing with Eco and Shadow of the Colossus is that at the time, I mean, Shadow of the Colossus of the two probably stands the test of time a bit better.
Yeah.
Because like I say, Eco was sort of this landmark for so many people because they were like, look, it is a console game. And it is about feelings, and it's and people found it really interesting on that level. But that's not unusual anymore. Shadow of the Colossus again sort of touched on those things, but was a lot more enjoyable as an action game.
Yeah.
And did a lot of interesting things. This one, like when they're just sort of the big griffin cat thing, and everyone's just like, oh man, it's going to be really sad when that dies. I'm just like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I'm assuming it doesn't die because that's too fucking obvious. But it's like, oh yeah, it's all about, having this bond with this other creature. And I'm like, I don't know if I need that anymore. Like, I feel like certain points have been proven. And You know?
Yeah, just to stop playing with my emotions now. Let's go just back to Tetris.
Like, that new Doom is fucking wicked.
yeah. Titanfall's good.
No, I'm being a dick, obviously. Like, it's probably going to come out and be brilliant, and I'll be very happy when it does. It's just this whole leaning on, this is going to be sad, isn't it?
I think the one difference the one thing against that I kind of feel that this is different from the norm was that when they showed it at E3 last year, they had that sort of short demo, and the fact that it wasn't emotions linked with cutscenes and it was actually linked with gameplay made me sit up and take notice a little bit. You know, like when you're controlling the character, you could press X to jump or whatever button to jump. And to tell that Trico thing to jump, like he was reacting to stuff you were actually doing, and I think if there's a lot of that in it, and it's going to be an experience that we've never had before, and might actually engage us a little bit more in what happens. But I don't know how you can't be just completely buzzing for it. I mean,
the fact that it's been like in development hell for 10 years or something. So.
Is there part of you thinking I don't want to get really excited for it because I don't want to look stupid if it's crap?
There's a bit of that. I mean, it was because I said last episode, didn't I? It came up on my fucking Facebook on this day. It was like 7 years ago, where I was like, "Oh, mate, Last Guardian trailer." It wasn't called Last Guardian, then was it? Was it? I can't remember.
I think it was.
It didn't have a name initially.
Oh, everyone was just calling it Trico, weren't they, at the start?
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, mate, I better get a PS3 for that." And it's been a long time, and I can't imagine it's anywhere near the same game.
Yeah, but if Shenmue fans can get excited for the next game in that series, then
but they're idiots, mate.
Yeah, good point. John, I mean, did you play? Were you a fan of Ico and Shadow of Colossus?
Yeah, massively. I've still got the Ico in. Do I have both? I've definitely got both on the PS3, but I've got the original boxed Ico in my drawer behind me.
The one with the little cards.
Yeah, with the little cards.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like again. Of course, I'm interested, and I definitely want to play it. When The Last Guardian when it comes out, but I don't think I can be excited for something for a decade. That doesn't make sense.
No.
I just wait, and if it comes out, then I'll buy it that day. I'm not a cynical gamer. I don't want to be kind of downbeat about it. I'm definitely interested in seeing how it turns out, and I hope it is as good as it possibly could be. I mean, those are landmark, all-time masterpieces, really, despite some little problems I have with them here and there. But I mean, that's like nitpicking some of the control issues in Shadow of the Colossus, a game that is far more ambitious and magnificent than almost anything else. So, I mean, of course, I'm interested, but I can't be bothered to invest anything in it anymore. I'll just wait until it comes. But I'm kind of feeling like that about most games these days. I think it may be just the fact that I am getting older and time does seem to go a lot quicker. But it's like they announced something for 2017 or something, 2018. I remember in the 90s that felt like forever ago. But now I'm like, soon I will be alive, and that will. I'll have that game, or I will have died before then. And either way, I'm not going to think about it until it happens.
Well, in the 90s, 2017 really was a long time away, though. So,
Yeah, that's true. But it's true now, isn't it? So, point proven, Dave.
I can't think of a game that's been in development for that span of time that's come out and actually been decent. And I mean, there's not many games that have lasted that long.
Could be a segue to the game that we've all played, apart from you. If we're moving off talking about other things now, so I don't mean to take over the podcast.
No, go for it. You could. It's all yours, John. What is this? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, just games that have been in development hell for years and years and years, and then turned out to be really good, like Doom.
Oh, yeah. Has that been? Because Doom 3 was when did Doom 3 come out?
A worryingly long time ago.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
I got the tin box.
That had an original Xbox version, didn't it? I think.
Yeah.
But then it come out on the 360, right?
Nah, because Quake 4 was a launch game for 360.
Yeah, it came with a perfectly serviceable version of Quake 2.
No, that's what we're doing.
Quake 4 come out on the Xbox
12 years old.
Man, my memory is just absolutely shot to shit.
Yeah, so technically, you could say this is an even longer development hell.
Okay, so go for it then. I want to hear what you think of Doom.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't even really remember that there was going to be a Doom until, remember, I wasn't really thinking that about there being a Doom 4 when that being cancelled or redone and people leaving it and stuff like that. That's not something that I was ever really thinking about. I just remember when the first trailer hit for the new Doom and they showed some gameplay and it just looked really fast and kind of intense. And I thought, oh, that actually looks really interesting. And obviously, I was a huge fan of the originals, the kind of were seminal games for so many people of our age. And yeah, having finished the new revamped version or Doom 4 or whatever you want to label it, in the past week, I mean, it's, as everybody pretty much has said, it's absolutely fantastic. A kind of real pick up my arse for first person shooter campaigns, especially how they so often now become kind of secondary. These kind of secondary add-ons to a multiplayer, even when there is big budget and sort of bombastic as a Call of Duty campaign, there's still those games that become kind of this formulaic follow an icon thing and get through it if you want, but most people don't bother and then jump onto the multiplayer. Whereas Doom's somehow managed to bring back the kind of old school essence of frantic arena shooting and the occasional sort of key card. I don't know how you even describe that type of gameplay. Finding the right color key card for the right door, which used to be more ingrained in game design back in the day than it is these days, and but made it sort of fantastically modern at the same time. This really sort of kinetic energy the whole time, where you're forced to be aggressive, which is the thing that I like about it most. I mean, every pixel, every polygon of the game is sort of dripping in aggression, and like even the way that I think Sean, you talked about this on last week's episode, the way that you regain health is by not hiding behind a corner and waiting for some strange health meter to recharge. You have to go and attack. If you want health back, you have to go and assault something and jump, melee it basically for a glory kill to get health out of it, and you just constantly have to be on the offensive, and it makes for a very different pace to what we're used to in games. And whether it's a cover shooter like a Gears, not technically an FPS, or even something like a Halo, where we've become so used to the kind of in and out type of shooting, I guess you'd call it. Sort of you have a go, then you backtrack, have a go, backtrack. Which has its place as well, but it's been fascinating and really exciting to play something that intense and that relentless, but yet still has its peaks and troughs, where it has those moments of quiet where you are doing a bit of exploration around very nice looking levels, looking for little secrets and stuff like that, just so you can have a breather before eventually you're just going to be in another arena fight, and it's all about the geometry of the room and what challenges they put in front of you in terms of what enemies they're going to spawn in, and then how those can combine with one another. And pretty much from start to finish, I just thought it was kind of immaculate. I think there are still campaigns that are probably, I'd say, are better and maybe hit higher heights, but as a kind of out of nowhere revamp to a classic, I mean, you couldn't really ask for more.
So, one thing I've heard about is that it is pretty challenging, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely found it hard. There was a couple of bits. I think about the middle of the game, the difficulty ramps up quite a lot, and it asks, without actually being explicit about it, it asks you to start using all the weapons in your arsenal at the time and being very selective about which enemy you take out first. But yeah, it never tells you to do this, so you suddenly have to learn the game systems very quickly. In other ways, you're going to get smashed. There's this type of enemy that can teleport and also spawn in other enemies. And later on in the game, whenever you see one of those, you'll just pretty much run straight up to it and chainsaw it straight away, because if you don't get rid of that, the rest of the thing's moot. You're never gonna get past it, because it's going to be spawning enemies, it's going to be peppering you, it's going to be teleporting and causing all sorts of trouble. But there's one point where I think it spawns in 3 of those. I think it's in the 6th level, and they start spawning in these big things that chase you down, kind of like gorillas. I can't remember the exact name, and I must have died on that 25, 30 times. I think, fucking hell. I've just come from a Dark Souls game, and this is kicking my ass way more than that ever did. But to be fair, once I kind of got into the language of what it was asking me to do, it was always challenging, and always felt like you were fighting by the absolute skin of your teeth. And even if you didn't die, you were always very close. There was never anything that was a cakewalk, but it kind of leveled out a little bit for me. The last boss was tough as well, but really good FPS bosses. I think there's only 2 or 3 in the game, but very clever, smart, kind of somewhere between skill and action bosses, and a little bit of puzzle boss in there as well for all of them. So Yeah.
See, because that was going to be my question. How does it avoid the frustration thing? Because there's always this thing with difficulty in games and sort of balancing it against frustration. And if it's too difficult, then and it's not satisfying enough, then you get that frustration sneak in. But what does it do to avoid that?
I don't think it's afraid to be frustrating in a way that games have become these days. But it's not. It's definitely not unfair. And like I say, that one part, which is a real difficulty spike, and I'm sure other people have struggled with that one little area, it teaches you a lot about how you need to manage those situations as well. And that sounds like such an accountant way of talking about a game where you're just sprinting around chainsawing things in half and tearing their brains out. But at the same time, you do have to, it's all about, sort of crowd and space management while you're blasting the shit out of everything. So I wouldn't say it was never hugely frustrating. No more so than games can often be, as the hole in my wall in my family house will attest.
I think I felt like most of the times I died was when it was just these like split seconds of my brain just sort of going like, fuck, what do I do next? Shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, and once you learn to just like constantly be making decisions.
Or I'd have a couple of moments where I was perhaps a little bit overconfident with the weapon I had in my hand and what I presented me, and I was like, okay, I can deal with it. Oh no, and then you're in bits on the floor. Or I didn't realise I was on low health when I was. It gives you a little woo woo there to tell you that you are. Yeah, it's very clever. But
so you wrote a article for Eurogamer about the multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
which had an interesting response. Like, no, fuck you.
I can't remember. What was that one thing that one guy said? I've got it on my phone somewhere.
It's funny because there's talking about internet comments has been done a billion times before and or whatever, but it was just.
And yet it still surprises, doesn't it?
But what surprised me about this one was that John's article was, "Hey, the Doom multiplayer is actually pretty good." The response was like, "Fuck off."
You know fucking nothing.
Yeah, like if you were to say like the Doom multiplayer was shit, then I'm sure people jump on your back on it. And I can kind of understand it. Like I wouldn't agree with it, right? But I can kind of understand that, this person loves this game so much that if they see a negative response to it, they'll get angry. But an article literally saying, actually, I've quite enjoyed the multiplayer. Someone going, right, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind.
You know, it like that. It's all water for ducks back to me. I don't really care about stuff like that. And trying to kind of analyse where it all comes from in terms of people who will read a third of an article, take 2 seconds to write a comment, and then just go off about their day and not think about it again. It's not really worth thinking about too much. But it's kind of strange that people are that upset.
But that's not really why I brought this up. So, what is it about the multiplayer that you liked?
Well, it's kind of difficult to talk about now because I've been playing a different multiplayer game, which is unquestionably better. But I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. But at first I did think it was, and like a lot of people in the comments explained, a kind of poor man's Halo. Yeah, it certainly looks like it. The little soldiers that you can pick look like Halo soldiers, but then again, the fucking Doom guy looks like the Halo soldier anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of moot. But it just ended up, the more I played it, just a really very smooth, very tight arena shooter. And I think it seems like people are upset because it's like team based and it plays a lot of this domination, deathmatch, an equivalent of kill confirmed. It does a lot of kind of safe things, you could perhaps say, and add some doomy twists to them, and a couple of very cool game modes. But in terms of it was just a very tight, very smooth. I mean, it did nothing new, but considering that it was basically, you could say it was almost like a tacked-on multiplayer. Like it was, it really just hit the mark very well for a short amount of time. And it was like, not every multiplayer needs to be something that you play for 6 months and dedicate your life to and start downloading podcasts about something. It could be something that you just, the campaign is fantastic. There's all this snap map stuff in there as well, which I didn't really explore that much, but that's kind of this amazing addition as well. And then just a really tight multiplayer that I'm sure some people will lose a lot of time to, but what's wrong with just giving it 6-7 hours and that being your feel as well, and it's fun.
I felt the same way about the Uncharted 4 multiplayer, which I didn't, I haven't mentioned. It was okay. I quite enjoyed some of the ideas that were in it.
I had to go on the beta. It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not something that I'll be playing because I think mainly because I haven't got a lot of time, and when I like playing my favorite multiplayer shooters, you know what I mean. And this isn't ever going to top that. But I imagine for a sort of a gamer that doesn't buy every new game that comes out, they've got something there that they can stick with for a little bit. And and I've seen a lot of people raving about it and are playing it a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's always disappointing when you like go to a multiplayer game on one of these sort of games and go, oh right, yeah, this is bollocks, right, gotcha. You know what I mean? So to see someone actually put half amount of effort into it is pretty good. And I wasn't, as Doom got like a history of multiplayer stuff to it.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Original had it.
Because to be clear, we were talking with Matt a few weeks ago about gaps in your gaming life, and I think Doom is definitely one. Because I went back and I played the original Doom for a little bit on the Xbox One recently, and I started the game as I've done a million times before, and usually I just tap out after like 10 minutes and go, okay. Usually, you know, because I played it so late on, I'd played so many other first-person shooters, but
sorry, go on.
For some reason this week it was like I put it on and I was like, oh right, I can see why people like this now. This is actually really fast paced, and when you tear a room apart, you actually like it's really satisfying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could kind of see why, and to imagine it coming out back then, I can see why it was like such a huge game.
Well, it was interesting. The Kane and Rince episode of Doom. At the start of every episode, they'll introduce everyone and they go like, right, everyone talk about your histories with the game.
I'll usually switch off within 30 seconds of that program, but yeah, go on.
I don't think there was a single one of them were actually just like, yeah, I had a good PC at the time and got it day one and played it and really enjoyed it. They were all like, some people came in like the PlayStation version, some played it on the Saturn. It was like everyone found sort of weird sort of ways into it, and it's like, well, yeah, because at the time PCs were prohibitively expensive for normal people, so the audience was actually sort of relatively small. But
weird. But it still went down in history as like this huge thing.
It's just sort of slowly sort of fanned out over time.
Who's the mug though? Because everyone, was looking back on Doom with such praise and good thoughts, while I was playing Exhumed on the Sega Saturn. So like,
it's migraine after 10 seconds.
yeah. And those scorpions were spider like enough to freak me out. So I don't know why I even played that game. Okay, so we'll talk about Overwatch towards the end, but the other games you've been playing, John, you've been working through the Dark Souls series.
Yeah.
First question.
Dark Souls 3, which is kind of not very timely.
Yeah, that's true. But first question has to be like, why did you go back to it? Because the history I know of you, like you tried to play through it a few times. This is the original Dark Souls, and about 2 years ago, I think it was, you really gave it a good go, and you got all the way to Blighttown, halfway down Blighttown, and then jacked it in, and out of nowhere you just started playing it again. Like what kicked you back into gear?
I'd always intended to go back to it after that go around. I'd had a character that had got to Blighttown. And then I went back to it after a year or so and realised having a greater understanding of these games, having finished Bloodborne.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I went back to my guy who was in, he was in Blighttown, and he was just a complete mess of a character. Just none of it was ever going to help. Like he had really high skill, but he was using a strength weapon, and it's just like stuff that I could have never have known. Having I got the game for review before it came out in the UK, and so before many people were talking about it online. I didn't even think about looking online for things like that. So that character was always going to be a mess. But restarted the game, got to that place again with a much more sensible character.
Can I jump in and say that blew my mind when you said you'd started again from the beginning, because I remember that day where you faced the Capra Demon for the first time, and it was a very, very angry man. John Denton was about to kill someone that day, and until you finally sent me a photo of he was dead, you had the tiniest sliver of life and no Estus flask left, and you weren't even happy about it. Like anyone else would be like,
I've beaten him again since, and I'm still not happy about it. It's shit. It's fucking shit. I know how to do it now. I reckon I could probably switch on and do it in 5 goes easy now, but I still wouldn't. I wouldn't be happy about it. So it's rubbish. A fucking tree in the way, and you can't see what you're doing, and then you get stuck in a corner, and you've got to go up a ledge. I mean,
what weapon were you using?
Well, did it. First time I did it, I can't remember. Second time, I couldn't do it for ages, and then I got the Drake sword, and then it was easier.
See,
and
because
then the first time I did it was on New Game Plus, but I was just using whatever sword I had at the end of the game.
See, I genuinely think because it only took me a few times, Capra, and I genuinely think it was because I was using like I was using that huge long axe weapon, and it just made taking out the dogs like a piece of piss. And then once they're gone, you pretty much home and dry, aren't you? You just run along that little ledge.
I didn't even really realise you could block. I mean, I knew you could block, but I never really used it because I wasn't using the right type of shield that had enough physical damage or something, especially against a boss. So I just get staggered every single time anybody big hit my shield. So I was like, well, what's the fucking point in using your shield? I've since learned a lot about the game.
Yeah, like Sean, did you see any of John's streams?
I watched a bit. I watched, there was one evening you were trying to do Ceaseless Discharge, and Duke of Jam was trying to explain the cheap way of doing it.
That's right. Yeah,
even when people tell you, you're just like, no, that's bollocks.
Yeah.
So it's...
But it was like, he gave me about sort of, maybe 2/3 of the explanation. So I was like doing what I thought was correct. I was like, this doesn't work. Why are you making me do this? And I just like...
But the funny thing about watching that stream was like, this is a Bloodborne player playing Dark Souls, because I was constantly like, why is your shield on your back all the time? This is insane. But then he was just like rolling through attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, after a little while, I got reasonably confident about rolling, and I started to understand Dark Souls itself a lot more. And I was like, well, fuck it, I can just roll through this and smash everybody up. But it still took me a while. But once, to answer your original question, I was always going to go back to it. I don't really know why I decided to set myself this challenge for doing Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, and then Dark Souls 3. I'm not so sure, but it just felt like something to do.
There's a lot of game in it, but you haven't got time for No Man's Sky. Yeah. I mean, come on. So like now Dark Souls 1's behind you, or the original Dark Souls behind you. Like, how did you make of it? Because like, I genuinely think that there's a thing. It's like Bonds, like James Bond. Like the first one you experience, it will probably always be your favourite. So Bloodborne was the first Souls game that you completed all the way through. So I'm assuming that you like that one more than the original Dark Souls. But how did you? Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely elements of Dark Souls that I like more than Bloodborne. I like, it's the classic things that people talk about, and I wouldn't ever pretend to be an expert. But the different builds and the fact that you can go through it again and play it in a completely different way, which you can't really do with Bloodborne. Yeah. But the setting and the style and the story of Bloodborne was always going to appeal to me more than Dark Souls, even though Dark Souls leans way more on mythology than I ever realised. It's far less on like Tolkien fantasy, which is what it says at the beginning. I'm still going to be more interested in this real weird, fucked up cosmological horror. Even though I don't know anything about Lovecraft, I tend to be some sort of expert at anything. I've never read anything. I didn't even do English A-level. But the story, everything about that game, it just really spoke to me, and that's kind of what drew me in the first place. And I was way more patient with it because I just really, really liked the setting, and I had no idea what the story was going to end up being. But I think that definitely still is my favourite, and it doesn't have anything like the Capra Demon. It doesn't have anything like the Bed of Chaos. It doesn't have anything like the Archers in Anor Londo. I mean, there were times where I could actually see Miyazaki, sorry. It's late. And I could just see his like little round face just laughing at me as I was just getting funked by those archers. I was like, why would we do this? Why was this a thing that we're doing? And I was talking to myself, but I still did it. Still wouldn't have fucking did it. And then Smough and Ornstein, it's just like, okay, all right, I guess this is what gaming is now. I guess this is a thing that people do. But then, still managed to beat that. But I really liked it, yeah.
You were like, Ornstein de Smough just I still have unfinished business with those two because I summoned some very experienced. Well, I assume they were very experienced. They seemed to know what they were doing, and although I was getting hits in, I felt like I didn't have enough to claim victory. So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
there's still part of me that's like, I need to go back and fuck them up at some point. But I don't know. I don't know if I ever will. Nice. Okay. All right. Well, I there's a game that I've been playing this week that I've been absolutely desperate to talk about. So I'm going to do that now. The game's called Inks, and it's on iOS at the moment. I'm not sure if there's an Android version or anything else, but
shall we just do the thing where I check and I go, no, it's not on Android?
Yeah, go on. Right. So it's £1.50, and it is I mean, buy it straight away because it's amazing. But the concept is utterly genius, and like it's so exciting to talk about. So it's a pinball game. But you haven't, like, you're not really playing on a table, you're playing on a canvas, like the table's a canvas. And the aim of the game is there are various different ink splodges around, like, the edges of the table or bits of the table. You've got to hit them with your pinball, and they explode ink, different coloured ink all over the canvas. Then when your ball rolls through it, it sort of drags the ink down and sort of forms lines where your ball's been and stuff like that, which eventually runs out and you go back to a clean ball and stuff like that. So the whole idea is that, okay, the main game is to hit the ink splodges, and once they've all done, you finish that table and you can move on. But the end result is quite nice art on your, like, you could take an instant screenshot. So it's you get these at the top of the table, you tend to get these big splodges of ink, and then wherever your ball's travelled and gone through this ink, it's sort of, you can see these lines coming back down from the flippers and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, at the end product is actually quite a pretty neat looking bit of art, I suppose you'd call it. But where the genius comes in is, so you get, obviously, like you always do with these games, there's a rating system. So you complete a table and then you can go back and see what score you got. But it's not done in points or how quickly you do things. It's done in, so if you did it with one ball, you get a gold. If the ball goes down, the next ball that pops up is a silver ball, and that's your rating if you finish it with that silver ball. Then a bronze ball. But if you fuck up 3 times, the next ball that comes in is a black ball with infinite black ink wrapped around it. So you essentially create your piece of art, and if you're not very good at the game, you completely ruin it by drawing black lines all over it. And the first time that happened, I was like, that is such a simple idea. And like, that's fucking genius, man. Like, it's so good. You get all excited about this big colourful mess that you put on the canvas, and then you're scribbling it out. You're literally scribbling it out because you're not good at the game. So by the end of it, sometimes you'll just have big, like, black lines all over this just canvas, and then other times you've got, like, really beautiful bits of art that you can, instantly take a screenshot of and tweet and stuff. And it hasn't really got a lot of longevity. You get about, I've not completed it yet. There's a hell of a lot of tables, but about 2/3 of the way through, you're kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with this now. Some of the tables get extremely hard as well, really challenging. But it doesn't matter because it's £1.50, and it's not trying to get more money out of you. It's not like, I'll get new colours of ink for £1. It's just, that's the game, and play it and enjoy it. The only other problem I had, that there was a few performance issues with, like, frame rates and stuff, and sometimes the ball would clip through the flipper. Never in a bad way, never to the point where you'd lose the ball, but sometimes the ball will flip below the ball would go below the flipper and then suddenly, like, magically appear on top of it and stuff. But real minor gripes, like, I text James Farley about this last week, and we've literally just been text messaging little photos of our tables. Like, honestly, I can't recommend it enough. Like, it's not going to keep you entertained for hours and hours and hours, but for the amount of money you're going to pay for it, you're really gonna, I think you'll really like it. So yeah, Inks is called, all in capitals. Is it on Android?
Is it fuck?
Is there anything called Inks on there?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Because last week your discovery of her story was absolutely incredible. unfortunately, we can't relive that classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely pick it up. It's well good. It's one of the best iPhone games I've played in years. Like, literally years. I can't.
Mr. Crab 2.
Apart from Mr. Crab 2, yeah, forgot about that one. It's a resurgence. They're coming back. iPhone is back with more games. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, so, I mean, I'm done with Inks now, and I'll probably go back to Freeze.
Is it my go?
Yeah, you could talk about what games you've been playing.
Thanks.
Sure.
Mate, cheers.
Why not?
I've been playing Hitman again. Because by the time you hear this, the new episode will be out.
What's the theme of the new one?
The new one is in Marrakesh.
And how delayed is it to what they originally said? Is it pretty much on time this time?
It's on time, I think, as far as I'm aware. I didn't even know it was coming out this soon. I just saw tweets about it today. I was like, oh, fuck. But yeah, this weekend there was a new elusive target. I can't remember if we've talked about these on the show before.
Yeah, we kind of have, but they're the single. It's like a single chance to do it, right?
Basically, yeah. Every so often they'll just announce, right, a new target has appeared in this map or whatever, and you've got 48 hours to do it, and you only get one go. You can, as long as basically if you kill the target or you die, then that's it. You can't retry it. So I think a lot of people are being jerks and basically just going on the map and just observing for hours and then figuring out sort of funny things to do and then like restarting and doing them. Whereas I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. The first one they did the other week, I blew myself up. This time I banned myself from taking any mines with me so that I couldn't blow myself up. Instead, panicked and got into a massive shootout and died. I did kill the target this time though, so that was...
So does that count as a victory? Like you killed the target, but you died?
I died, so it just goes down as a failure. And basically, the idea is that by the end of the season, or whatever they call it, when Hitman is finished, you'll have this record of like how each elusive target went for you. So I've just got 2 failures to my name so far, but I don't really mind failing it so much because, like, obviously the whole point is the capacity to fail it, and that's what makes it tense and fun. So I don't really care too much. It'd be nice to actually do one properly next, but you just panic like fuck.
Here's one thing, because it keeps track of your streak, right? So like it will say, oh, you've killed, you've completed the mission 3 times in a row or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Does that completely drop if you're unable to do one? That like say you missed out on one of them because you're on holiday or whatever.
I have no idea. I don't know what happens if you miss one. I don't know if it just goes down as a failure or not attempted or what. I don't know. That'd
be such a pain in the arse if it just... I mean, I kind of understand it, but it would be a bit of a pain in the arse if it's like, yeah, no, you've got a life. Fuck you. You miss out on this one.
How dare you go on holiday?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know.
Okay, great.
Someone will know, but I'm not going to intentionally not try one of them to find out. So,
you should.
But I've also done on each of the maps. They do this thing called the escalation missions, which I hadn't tried before. And I did the escalation missions on Sapienza, which is the second big level they released. Really good. Like it starts out, it's basically, as the name implies, it's a series of 5 missions where they're more or less the same, but it just starts putting more and more conditions on it. So first off, it's just like kill this guy while wearing this costume, and you do it, and you're like, that was easy. And then it's like, right, kill this guy and someone else using this costume. Fine. Okay, kill these 2 guys and make sure none of the bodies get found and don't get spotted. Fine. Kill these 2 guys and don't get spotted and use a melee weapon in order to do it. Fine. Kill these guys and don't get spotted and hide the bodies and use a knife, and there are laser tripwires planted around at random. And it's proper good. It's really good fun. Like if you'd just been presented with the final one straight away, fuck this, is too hard. But it's just a really nice way of sort of building it up, and when it adds like the second guy, you sort of think, well, I've seen him hanging around, so that'll be quite easy. But then as you go to kill him, someone else is walking by, and you're like, fuck, the timing doesn't quite work, and you sort of thinking on the fly a bit, and it's really good. And doing I did so people can create their own hits and put them online, and the developers are like showcasing some of the best ones, and someone had done this one that was the explanation was like in sort of broken English, and it was basically there's like four guys who've been committing cruel acts on animals. So you're this like organization, like this animal rights organization. So you've got to kill them all, and and basically it was like the conditions were like you got to do it all with this sniper rifle, and you've got to wear this what it called the Bohemian outfit. And I found that, and it's basically just this like stoner hippie. You have to break into his flat, kill him, take his clothes. And then like shoot like one of the people you have to kill is this cyclist who's been knocked off his bike and he's already like dying by the side of the road, and you just snipe him in the face. Nice.
John, have you ever been into Hitman?
Not really. I played 2 and I played some Blood Money, and like one level of Absolution. I think that was on PlayStation Plus for a while. Forever, I think actually. But yeah, it's not the games themselves. It's just me. I want to be able to do it perfectly, but I'm not prepared to put in the work that requires. It's like, why can't I do this the first time? And that's completely antithetical to what the game is supposed to be. Yeah. But I just don't have I just don't have the patience to be able to do it properly. Actually, I played all of Contract as well, thinking about it.
Yeah, I remember you talking about Contract.
Yeah, I mean, this was years and years ago, obviously, but I remember in that game, the stealth, like the stealth parameters were really woolly. I mean, God, who cares about talking about this game, but I'll do it anyway. So I remember you never knew for sure if you were going to get spotted or not, and I found that frustrating. And I remember maybe something was like that in Blood Money as well. But I have been intrigued by this new one. I kind of like the structure of it and the fact that you don't have to shell out, and this is a massive game that I'm going to have to sit there for hours and hours to finish. I can just kind of do it in bite-sized chunks. It just happens to have come out, I think, sort of coincided with a bunch of other games. Obviously, I was doing the Souls games, and we were playing the Division, and now Overwatch has come out, and Doom. So I just haven't really had the time to go and put some money into that. But I am kind of interested in it, but I worry that I'll wait so long that it will just end up being the same as any other full-price game, which is great, but I won't have the time to do it.
Yeah, like I mean, some of the ideas coming from this is just fantastic, and I genuinely think that it's kind of inspired by what Metal Gear Solid did with Ground Zeroes. Was it Ground Zeroes?
Yeah.
Where they just released like that one mission.
Yeah.
That must have been part of the original concept of the taking this episodic, right? I mean, it was.
I've no idea. I mean. It's hard to say because obviously being cynical about it, like you can, it's easy to just be like, well, it's just a fucking cash flow thing, innit? Like let's just charge for the game in bits and make it in bits and resell that. But then they've done so many sort of intentionally smart things with it that now seems quite unlikely that it was a cynical move. Like, yeah, with the way, like I say, I know a lot of people are still saying, oh, I'm just going to wait till it's finished and then buy it. And it's like, well, you can do that, but you're missing out and you're not going to rinse it the way you totally could. Like people saying, oh, I like playing Hitman games because it's just cool because it's like every level's in a different country and I just like flying through it and that's fine. Just, you're going to miss out on tons of stuff.
It's just, I can't imagine that this, I don't know. Is there a plot that runs through each episode, or like is there like a story arc?
I mean, it's interesting because it reminds me a bit of what's it called? I think it's called Punch Drunk. It's a experimental theatre thing. Matt Lee's talked about it on regular features ages ago, and it's like. It's this theatre thing where you just go in this building and all the audience are just in the building with all the actors and you all wear masks and the play just happens and you can just sort of wander around and you can completely miss what the story is by just sort of wandering about and not really piecing it together. But if you're at the right place at the right time, you see certain things unfold. And
I've done that. I've done one of those.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I went to. It was called Office Party, and it was literally. As you walked in, the moment you walked into the sort of, I suppose you describe it as the theatre. It wasn't a theatre; it was a block of offices.
Yeah.
they greeted you and said, "Oh, come on, can I have your name? Okay, there's your name badge. What department do you work in?" and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show you these new offices. And what we didn't know is that we were split up into teams. Like the audience was split up into teams.
Okay.
Some bits, some of the audience members had actors within them. So like you didn't know because everyone was strangers and stuff. And what we didn't know is that some of the teams were being told that they were being made redundant and stuff like that. And some of them were told they were getting pay rises and stuff. And then you just entered a normal office party and shit was just happening everywhere. Like, you know, there was fights going on and it was just really bizarre, but really like... I mean, it was one of those experiences. I think it could have been better, but like, I'll never forget it because it was just so bizarre. Like, it was so weird, like watching all sorts of shit going on at this office party. But yeah, the idea behind it was cracking.
Well, playing Hitman feels a bit like that. In that you're just sort of cutting about, killing people, getting disguises, going into new areas and stuff, and there's just you hear these bits of conversations which are definitely put there on purpose for you to listen to. It's not, it's not just idle NPC chatter. Like there's events happening. So I think if you were to actually start writing things down and sort of sketching things out, like there is a story there. But you just pick up bits of it. And so far I've pieced basically none of it together. I mean, there's like at the end of each mission, there's a little cutscene where basically there's this other assassin who's presumably out to get you. Which again, at the moment, still doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, I think if you were to bother to delve into all these weird little conversations that are ongoing, then there's probably something really interesting there.
Does it still have the newspapers at the end of the mission?
It doesn't, which is a shame, because they were really cool.
Yeah, one of my first memories of being a games journalist, my first ever trip was to I.O., 5 or 6 days into the job in 2005. Amazing office. It's like cylindrical office on the whatever the hell river it is. In Denmark. I was about to say the name of the river and I wasn't even too sure if that was right, so I'll just pretend I didn't say that. Anyway, and so we sat through the presentation of Blood Money and it was all kind of interesting, and went on a tour of the office. And there was a guy, his sole job on Blood Money was to do those newspapers and create the algorithms for how it all works. And he just sat in his own office covered in newspapers. It was like a fucking psychopath's office, just chain smoking cigarettes, and he had like this long straggly blonde hair and this like slightly dirty shirt. He was fucking amazing. And yeah, I'd forgotten about him until he just started talking about Hitman. So yeah, if that guy was still alive, I'd be amazed.
That's why they ditched the newspapers. It's like,
that's right.
Out of respect, like retiring a number in a football team.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, there's the game that we come out this week that we obviously need to talk about, which, based on the beta, I was absolutely not going to pick up. Because, as we've spoken about it before, I wasn't that into it. But it was Overwatch come out. Wasn't going to pick it up until John has this way of turning into peer pressure, John, when he wants you to buy a game.
Really?
What do you mean, really? Yes. You must have sent me about 40 messages about how you didn't understand my life because I wasn't just going out and buying Overwatch.
This is terrible.
What's that?
Well, you were like, oh, they don't have any in CEX. So I was like, well, okay, well, they've got some in Epsom. And I'm not a psycho for finding that out. It took me like 4 seconds on my phone. I went Game, Sutton, and it was one in Epsom. I was like, he's been there before because I remember him talking about it. Checked on the map, 4.5 miles away. How far away from,
right, okay, this is where you go to psycho.
All of this took less than a minute. And I was like, well, that's as far away from his house as the CEX is from my house. So, I mean... It's Saturday, but you can go there. This was early in the morning. This was like 10 in the morning, and you were like, "Hey, nobody got time for that." So, got that far, and then you send me a text message like an hour later that you built a bed, and you're like, "Bosh, look, I've been doing this," as if you're some sort of legend. Like, if you told me I can't go now, I'm actually building a bed, I would be like, "Oh God, you sound way too busy. I'll just leave you alone." But you're like, "Ain't nobody got time for a 4-mile car journey on a weekend." So no, you can't blame me.
I suppose to explain, Epsom's a fucking pain in the arse to get to anyway. Like, but this is so pointless and boring. But it wasn't just that. I mean, it was like, what happens, right, is that we've got this group of people that play games together, and when we play multiplayer shooters together, it's fucking brilliant. When everyone's in, it's fucking genuinely brilliant. I mean, we've had the build up to Rainbow Six was just fantastic. The fact that it was only John and I played it, and then about 2 months after it came out, I think it was, Chet decided he wanted it, and then when Chet's in, a lot of his friends are in as well, and all of a sudden we were playing full 5-player games against like other teams and stuff like that, pretty much every night for a couple of months. It was intense, but it was it was so good. Like we were proper into it, and I suppose when you've got that group of friends that all play together, and like you just want everyone to pick it up, because then we can all play together. But yes, I mean the last game that happened with was the Division. Do you remember the messages going back and forth about the Division? It was pretty much exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
Why don't you just fucking buy it, you twat? But in the end, I managed to get out and pick it up on Saturday, and
proving my point.
That first night we played it, I was thinking, yeah, this confirms everything that I felt with the beta. This is just, I'm not really into this. And then yesterday I come home from the playoff final. We lost. And I was half cut, but I was still able to play. And I stuck it on, and yeah, things changed a lot. Actually, I really, really enjoyed last night's session in the end. And I don't know how or why that changed. I think it was just maybe because I was doing better, and it made me.
That's often the way, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Getting smashed every game, doesn't matter how good the game is, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, it's true. But let's start with you, Sean, because I mean you've been banging to this since the beta, haven't you? Since you first played it. So how do you find the full release, and is it
it's the same thing, isn't it? Like I did.
Yeah, there's not much to it, is there, really?
Yeah, like I didn't realise the beta basically had everything that's in the full game, which is very generous of them. But it's a bit annoying to then have to shell out 45 quid to just carry on playing the beta. But I mean, they're adding this weird sort of ranked competitive mode at some point. There's that other mode that you can play. I forget what it's called, where there's like a weird modifier on it.
Brawl or something.
Yeah. I've not really messed with that yet. From what I can tell from the description, it's just like everything dialed up a bit.
Yeah, this I've read it. Everyone's got double health but half cooldown times.
Right.
We had one game on it, and it was like, well, this is just like a worse version of the other. So let's just play that.
But yeah, no, I'm still properly enjoying it. Yeah,
I like the sound. Hasn't it got one mode where it just gives you a random character to play as?
That was in the beta. I think they're going to roll like the Brawl or whatever it's called. The one that's currently arcade is going to roll through different permutations week on week. So a different thing to do.
I that's kind of a mistake that they haven't done that straight away.
Come back, I'm sure.
Yeah, it will come back, but I mean, in the first week, you want people to be trying out new heroes, right? Like the whole idea is that you need a huge group of heroes to sort of build up an understanding of. And I think the first week that would have been perfect for that.
Yeah, you're probably right. But maybe that's what they used the beta for.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, no, I think the main thing that made it click a little bit more. So I started with the guy who's basically a Call of Duty character.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember his name.
76.
Yeah, and he's what I like about him is that it is a constant gut punch to. I don't know if you've picked up on this as well, but it is constantly taking the piss out of those types of shooters.
Yeah.
Like, because every time, like, he's like, I'm too old for this. This is all tiresome. Like, he's an old man. Like, he's dated and he's done with what he's been doing over and over and over again. And that felt just like a slight little jab to those games. I thought that was quite funny. But that was my key, because, all right, okay, I know how this sort of thing controls. I know what I should be doing with this character. Fair enough, I get it. But then I started mixing it up a little bit, and I mean, one of the only characters that I really liked in the beta was Diva or Diva, whatever. And I just really, after spending my time with this other character and going back to her, I was like, okay, fuck, man, I can really do a lot of damage on this, but only in certain situations. Usually when I'm defending rather than attacking, and also in close quarter combat rather than the more open areas. So then my mind started going, okay, this is a more open one. Diva's getting absolutely caned by everyone. Let me try this character. And then that sort of started expanding out. And now I've got one in every class at the moment that I can switch to. But I feel that there's still a lot more characters that I want to try out. And because I was understanding the characters more, I was understanding the game a lot more, and nothing felt as cheap as it did in that beta. Like there are moments like there's still like characters like Bastion where I kind of think I don't know how I'm going to take this one down. I still haven't like cracked that yet on how to completely ruin Bastion. And when I play as Bastion or whatever, I get taken out in seconds. So there's although that's frustrating to start with, now that I understand the game a little bit more, I'm kind of like, well, there's definitely a way, there's definitely a reason why I'm getting taken out so quickly. And these guys, when I'm fighting him, he's not, you know what I mean? It's taken an age to take him out. So yeah, kind of feeling it a lot more now, and I just want to spend a lot of time with it to understand everyone and be able to. The most important thing, I think, is being able to switch heroes like throughout the game. Like you die, you can switch heroes. That makes so much sense because it's kind of like, okay, I'm up against this, right? Let's switch. And I think you said in our group, it feels a lot like Destiny, where you know you'll come across an enemy and you're kind of like, okay, right, I need to switch to this weapon because they've got those shields, so I need to react to that. Or, okay, my special is not good for this situation, I need to switch to a subclass, and stuff like that. It feels a little bit like that, you know?
And it's incredibly satisfying when you're having, maybe 6-7 minutes into a match and things are perhaps going your way, or it's kind of a stalemate, and you make a conscious decision, okay, I'm going to switch from, say, an attacking guy like a Soldier 76 or Tracer, who's the girl from the front cover who's super fast, to like a healer like Guy Lucio, the guy with the dreadlocks, which is one example I'm just thinking of that happened last night. So I switched it out and started healing everybody up and speeding everybody, and you could feel like the shift in the tide of the match started to go our way, and a couple of other people changed and their characters were sort of better suited for the job, and you're in constant communication as well. So that kind of adapting on the fly, and then when that works, is incredibly it's as satisfying as a clean headshot with a sniper or something like that. Perhaps even more so, just because there's that the camaraderie of actually all working it out together very, very quickly. And on other times you try that and it goes horribly wrong. But I didn't realize when I was playing the beta how I didn't quite understand the depth of the game. I didn't quite understand the game at all, to be honest. And I think it was a particularly rough beta for me in terms of how often I was getting killed. People seemed to really understand the game in a way that I didn't at all. The people I was playing seemed to have a real grip on it straight away. And when I first played the retail version, which was a few days after it came out, me and a buddy played for about 4 hours on Friday night, and we had maybe 8 wins, 2 losses or something like that. So it was a really good run. And that helped me understand the matchup, really start to get my head around what the game is. And how it works, and how much more varied and interesting and sort of complex it is over most shooters, but still incredibly accessible. So then I spent a large chunk of Saturday, whenever I had a free 5 minutes, studying some the guides, like some of the guides on YouTube of how the characters work, and there's some on YouTube that do a really good job of explaining, okay, well, if you're going to use this character, this is how you use it against this character, and it makes it sound perhaps more complicated than it is, because I think it still is fairly easy to pick up. I think if you dive into a match with people who are reasonably experienced, you'll suffer. But it doesn't take too long to kind of pick up the slack. And I think the fact there is leveling up, but there's no like unlocks in terms of new guns. It's not like you're not being outmatched or outleveled or anything like that. So if you do pick it up late, or you can't play as much as other people, you won't necessarily be left behind. You'd only be left behind by the fact you might not be as skilled just through lack of experience. But it's not like a game like the recent example is The Division, where we all bought us and some buddies bought it on the same day, played together on that first night, and then they have different life situations, so they sped through and got to a much higher level very quickly, and then we just literally couldn't play with them again. Like we played that game for 50 odd hours, and we just never ever played with those friends ever again. So it's nice to be able to have a game that you're always going to be able to jump on with people, even if they put in another 50 hours on top of you. You can jump in and you're playing with the same set of tools as everyone else.
See, that's definitely a strength, but I also feel that it's somewhat of a weakness as well, because I do miss working towards something as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What will likely happen for me is I'll be really, really into it, play it to death for however long it might be. It might be a week, it might be 2 months, it might be longer, and then something will click, and I'll just be like, "Why am I doing this?" And I will stop playing it. And that's happened with every single multiplayer shooter that I can ever think of forever. And ever since Halo 2 was the first one I really played. So I'm sure that will happen again. And the fact that there isn't something that you're working towards, an unlock or a new weapon or a new piece of kit, it's definitely the kind of the yang and the yin or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking, I was on Kane and Rince this week, and we were talking about Titanfall, and it just reminded me a lot of prestiging in that game, or regenning, or whatever they called it. And the whole idea of going through those challenges, for example, was enough to keep me playing for a long, long time. Yeah. You know, I mean, I still enjoyed Titanfall. That's fine, but because I had those challenges to work towards, that kept me going back. And every time I booted that game, I was like, right, what challenges have I got to do this week? So I'd like to see something like that in Overwatch. It's not there at the moment. Maybe it's something they're thinking about, or they might add later down the line.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see some challenges, just even if it's for something to do, and if all they give you an XP or a little bit of in-game currency or something, then yeah, just to kind of add an extra layer on it.
Yeah, it's weird because I've been playing a bit of Hearthstone again. And if they just implemented some of the stuff from that, which, like I say, it's just daily challenges and weird little unlocks and stuff, that'd be fine.
Yeah, maybe that's like part of their. Maybe they've got like a calendar of what they're going to release, and they want to stagger it or something, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was expanded on. But I mean, the interesting thing for me was when you sent me that text message the first night you played it and said, "Oh, I realise that I just didn't know the game now." Was there one specific thing where you just thought, "Oh, that's what it's about"? Like, what was it that you didn't understand that now you do?
It's kind of difficult to pinpoint anything specifically, but I think a combination of reading a couple of reviews and the fact that they were just consistently from all different sources, all different types of people, this like constant 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, gold rated or whatever the scoring system might be. It was just like one after another. It was like, okay, well, it can't just be, there must be something else there that I'm missing, that I've not really noticed, I've not really paid attention to. And I think, it didn't even take long. I think I kind of went in with a bit of a different mindset. At first, I really didn't like the aesthetic when I first tried it, and I thought maybe people were being a bit too kind to it because it was Blizzard, and that's just kind of me just being a bit cynical and jaded, perhaps. And the fact that bottom line, if I'm being real, in the beta I just kept getting killed and I couldn't get any kills. So I was like, this game is bad. It's not me that's bad. The game is bad. But the fact that in the first 3 or 4 games that I played, in the final version, it was the other way around. I was getting like 13 kills, 2 deaths. So you go in with a much more open mind straight away. You're not like, oh, the game's broken, the connection's broken, this blah, blah, blah. I can't pinpoint exactly what happened. I just think those kind of nice early matches allowed me to gain an appreciation of how the game actually worked in terms of those character matchups and how important it was to quickly learn even the basics of all 21 characters in the game, just so you can understand what's coming at you as well as what's on your team. And then realizing that, okay, there's quite a lot of depth here and quite a lot of fun stuff to study that, I think it just, quickly turned me around. But I think it was within 1 or 2 matches, to be honest, that it was just having such a riot.
I think the real success of it for me is that if you are not particularly good at first-person shooters, or if you're put off by that, like say the sort of kill to death element of it, there are characters you can play as where that's not so much of a focus. Like some of the support characters are really interesting. I've started playing as Symmetra quite a lot.
Which one's Symmetra?
She's the one who she can create those like little mini turrets, and she can give people shields. And her ultimate is to just put down a teleporter for your team.
Yeah. Who's doing that? Was that Xeno? Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, like the impact you can have playing as her, and you don't have to shoot anyone. If you're just smart about where you place things and how you sort of use the map and the sort of the way the enemy team's coming at you, and sort of observing that and sort of figuring out which routes they're using and stuff. just planning around that and having this amazing impact on the team. Like you'll never get the play of the game thing at the end, but like usually like all of your team will upvote you because you can just totally like hold the line and help everyone else do the same.
Yeah, so at the end of each round, it gives like a play of the game thing where it sort of just shows you the best moment, and it's not always accurate, but it does throw up some good stuff.
Like it is usually just someone using their ultimate and killing a load of people in one go.
But what it also does is it picks 4 people who did something special and puts their cards up on the screen, and then you get to vote who you want to vote for. It's kind of broken because it's usually 3 from the winning team and 1 from the losing team, and of course all of the losing team votes for that one in their ring, which completely wipes out the winning team's members. But like maybe it should just be 1 of each one, I guess. No, that still doesn't work. I don't know.
Do we know what that actually awards? Actually, there's 2 questions I've got for you, Sean, because I think you probably know more about the game. Does that award, is it an XP bonus? That award?
I think it's just an XP bonus, yeah.
And what the hell is the on fire mechanic?
Don't know.
Okay.
All I know is, like when you do stuff, it comes up, doesn't it? Like, like a little number with a little flame next to it. And then that charges up and like it reaches a certain point and your character says something, usually.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it had a gameplay impact or if it was, again, just, an XP boost or even if it was just nothing.
Yeah, because you played one recently where it said because you were in the winner's circle at the end, and it said that you spent 70% of the game on fire or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was possible because mine's always been pretty much 0.
Yeah, I think it's when I played maybe as a healing character or something like that. And once, okay. I can play as where I don't die very often, but I also don't get into that many firefights.
Yeah, I've just looked it up. Basically, when you're on fire, the enemy team is alerted to it. So basically, that it's the game's way of going like, "Oh, this one person is kicked ass. Deal with them."
Okay,
so it's kind of a bad thing.
You got a price on your head. No, talking about the healers. The that dude, the yoga dude, is my guy. He's he was the one or 2 rounds I played with him. I was like, this is so much fun, and his super is just incredible. It just makes me laugh every time because he just glows. What's it called? That ultimate tranquility or something?
Yeah, transcendent. I don't know. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And it's just the way he just floats about with his legs crossed and glowing bright yellow, lighting everyone up. Is just enough to make it just cracked me up the first time it happened. And I was like, that's my dude now. That's my healer.
What's really impressive is I can't think of a character that's like everybody thinks is a duffer. Like almost every single character, everybody's like, oh yeah, they do this. Or I can't think of any. There's some I'm not very good at, and some that I think might be useless. But like I've never got with Diva. I thought she had like 2 pea shooters. I didn't understand her at all. I only had a few goes, and you're raving about her.
Diva is good. Like I lasted a whole round with her the other night without dying, and it's
she's my main as well at the moment.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I've noticed that a few times where someone would go, that character's crap. I hate. Usually the bow and arrow guy. That bow and arrow guy's crap. You can't do shit with it. And then I think it was Blizzard that said, we're gonna have to tone that character down. It's a little bit overpowered. You're like, what?
Oh yeah, Andy swears.
Devastates you, that guy.
Yeah, it's mad.
I mean, there's people I'm not going to play as just because I don't like the look of them. Like they just annoy me a bit. Like
like who?
Like Junkrat. Lucio fucking annoys me. But then I know people like a friend of mine who like Lucio's his fucking main. He loves it. So,
see, I'm not at this stage yet. You've got what's the generic attribute that you could describe Lucio as?
He's all about speed buffs and stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, but what's he look like in that?
Black guy, dreadlocks.
Oh right, okay.
Are you gently leaning into calling me a racist, David?
Absolutely not. Mr. Paranoia over here. Look, it's like having
Sean out in front of it.
It's like having James Farley back on the show.
I think we've also understood that Dave only knows the name of one of the people in Overwatch.
Diva. The other, the legs crossed man.
And that soldier guy.
The toned down sexy one.
The going back to Soldier 76. I think it's interesting, like you say. I think he's very much there on purpose as like to get people into the game a bit. Like he's a good first character to just show to people. Like, you know, say for example, you've only ever played Call of Duty. You can be like, look, it's a man with a gun. You know this. He can sprint. Like it's fine. And you know he's got his healing thing and he's got his visor that just lets you hold the fire button and laugh. But yeah, I think he's, although they do sort of take the piss and be like, look, he is just a normal, boring soldier. Like he serves an important purpose in that he's just a good way into people who are not necessarily, like, you know, they might have played shooters, but they're not really down with the whole abilities stuff. But then, you know, Destiny happens, so I think they could have had a bit more faith. But
yeah, and I mean, there's a reason why he was the tutorial character, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about Overwatch a lot next week, because I still need to wrap my head around it. I've put maybe about 3 or 4 hours into it, so there's a lot more game to be had of that. And I'm interested to see how much of it clicks, and of course how many people abuse it. Do you know?
Like John said, there's tons of really good tutorials on YouTube. Just little character guides and stuff. Like I was surprised to learn that D.Va is like, she's a tank, but like she's actually really good at attacking, because the whole point is you use you know, her boost move that just lets you fly.
Yeah.
Briefly, like it's all about using that to get in weird positions and get behind the enemy. Like, you know, you say, like you're saying about Bastion, like she's the anti-Bastion basically.
Yeah.
If you've got Bastion who's just sat there in turret mode and he's just blasting the fuck out of everyone, then there is a way to get around and just appear behind him and shotgun him from behind.
The genius with D.Va is that if you build up your special, you turn your mech into a nuke, and you can also fly that mech. Like if you press the run or that power surge thing, if you press that and then activate it acts as like this beautiful grenade that just flies off into the distance.
Videos of people just like chucking it over buildings.
Yeah, it's insane. And the moment you cause damage with it, you instantly get a respawn for your mech.
Yeah.
So you straight back in again. It's I mean, so far so good. I've got concerns, but there's no point in even thinking about them at this point. It's far too early. And I said to you before that I was angry that you didn't play Rainbow Six, because that is like,
yeah. But Dave, me not
very
playing
similar.
Rainbow Six is your fault, as we've discussed.
Why is that?
Because you've got it on the Xbox and I've got it on the PS4.
That's fair.
Fucking
that is fair. But
Romeo and Juliet, mate.
What I'm saying is that don't play it now. I went back to it this week, and my God, there are some wankers on that video game now. I played. I mean, how many times did we play it, John? We put hours and hours and hours into that game, and it would happen once in a blue moon where a team killer would ruin it. But I mean, it was very rare when we were playing it constantly.
Once an evening.
Every game now.
Really?
Yeah, we played 4 or 5, not rounds, 4 or 5 games, and every server we went into, there was people just killing each other.
That's so weird, because you would think over time those people would be the ones to get bored and fuck off.
Yes. Yeah. But now it's like returning to a lost city, and it's full of looters that are just ruining everyone's lives. Horrible. So yeah, such a shame, because it is one of the best shooters that I've played in recent years, and now you can't play it because it's full of pricks. Right, okay, let's. That's enough what we've been playing this week. Let's go to questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all excited. Firstly, I've got to apologise to a guy called Ian who emailed last week, and we all took out the piss out of him because the wording in his email was wrong, and he sent us an email saying, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. It wasn't bad English. My fat thumbs on my phone can't type." And then I thought, "Oh yeah, I'm the worst for that." so maybe taking out the piss out of him was the most hypocritical thing I've ever done in my life. But there you go. So big shout out to Ian. Sorry about that. Right, the first email's from Alex. He says, long-time listener, first-time caller, etc., etc. I've got 2 questions, really. Firstly, Dave said ages ago that you played Flower in one sitting one morning whilst feeling rough, and had a really good experience with it. It'd been perfect for what he needed that morning. I've never been able to get into Flower, but just had exactly the same thing with Grow Home. I wondered if any of you guys have played it and what you thought about it. Anyone played Grow Home?
Yeah, it's wicked.
Is it good?
It's a similar thing in that it's something you can smash it in an evening and it's nice, and it asks nothing more of you.
How long is it?
I think I did it in like 4 hours, something like that.
Was this ever on PS Plus or anything?
It was on PS Plus. So I mean, if some people are a bit salty about paying £6 for it or whatever, but yeah, if you've got PlayStation Plus, then you own it. So have a go.
Well, unless you forgot to download it that month, then.
Well, yeah, but only a Muppet would do that. So.
Are you one of these people that instantly just hits purchase whenever it comes up, no matter what the game
There's
is?
a few that I've genuinely just like fucking Reality Fighter. No, thank you. But beyond that, yeah, I'll pretty much grab anything.
Yeah, I haven't
in case.
I haven't got that discipline. I just haven't got that discipline to go, okay, I'll just buy these regardless.
It's tough to do that. I mean, you've only got like 30 days, and it does take about 5 minutes.
The worst part is when before I got a Vita and a PS4 for that matter, but I still had a PS Plus subscription, but I wasn't just grabbing the games anyway. You know, you can just go on the website and go, yeah, I own that now. And I wasn't doing that, and I just missed out on like the first year's worth of games like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he goes on to say, secondly, I know most of you have young kids at home. We have a 10-month-old and another on the way, as well as a 9-year-old, but he doesn't count. Yeah, I know. Fuck, that is mental. Someone has been busy. As well as a 9-year-old, but he doesn't count for the purpose of this question. Poor kid. I'd like to know if you have any recommendations for kids' TV that isn't total shit. We watch a lot of Hey Dougie, which reminds me of Michael Fox for some reason, and Baby Jake. I'm looking for something new though, so hit me up with cool suggestions. Sean?
Cat Mario show, mate.
John?
No, it's all horrible, but you learn to tune it out, and it doesn't exist. And then someone who comes around your house without kids, and they're like, "Oh, this is weird. Why are you watching this?" And I was like, "I could look at this forever and not see it."
Yeah, it's totally true. There are times where, like, Harry's gone for his nap and CBB's been on for 2 hours while he's been sleeping, but it's just not there, and the screen might as well be blank at that point. Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah, no, the best one is Hey Dougie, so you've already got that one down. Baby Jake's all right, I've got time for that. Postman Pat's still amazingly charming, but also infuriating. I can't think of anything else. Most of it is just utter shit. Got time for Swashbuckle. That's pretty good, but mainly because I like the presenter. I'm trying to think of anything else. I do like winding
Adventure Time. Just press up if you've got Virgin. Press up once to get to Cartoon Network and just watch Adventure Time or regular show.
He's not interested in that yet, though. I don't think
he'd make them interested in it. They're really young. You get to control them.
Maybe I'll try that. Isn't it a bit it is a bit creepy though for his age, right? He's only 2.
Yeah, Elliot seems fine.
I do like winding John up every now and then by just singing the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8.
That's bad. That's really out of order.
I know.
Out of order. Do you know what? I had to go to 2 kids' parties on 2 consecutive days, and they were both Frozen princess parties. So I've heard "Let It Go" by I think it's Demi Lovato about 1 million times this weekend, and that song just buries itself into your brain. And yeah, that Thomas the Tank Engine song will just eliminate it in seconds, and that's going to be my week.
Let's go to the tweets. Athene says, if Sean had to pick a side in the inevitable the computer game show versus Midnight Resistance fight, which would he pick and why?
Well, hang on, he's put TCGP. I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, the computer game podcast, I suppose. That makes sense. Not the
no, I just looked it up. It's tcgplayer.com. It's an online store for Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Midnight Resistance are fucking those guys up all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but computer game show probably not, right?
I don't know what doing.
I've fucking built that with my own hands. So
yeah, but I mean,
just fucking show up and say shit, and then
you built it with your own hands, but it's part of the reason why it's going to just fall to pieces, isn't it? When put under any sort of pressure. Well, I mean, we've got a definitive answer for that because we want him for our E3 shows this year, and he's chosen Midnight Resistance over us.
Well, I don't know if we're doing anything for Midnight Resistance actually. So fuck it, who cares? There's no Nintendo conference, mate. I've fucking tapped out of E3 this year. I've lost me. Don't know.
You lost your buzz for it.
Lost me E3 mojo. Yeah. Nintendo. So we're just going to show Zelda. Like, you know those lads who got really upset about No Man's Sky being put back 2 months? That's me with Nintendo.
I still think there's going to be some crazy announcement out of nowhere from them. I don't know why. I've still got a little bit. I hope
so, because
still got a little bit of Paloma.
That'd be embarrassing, isn't it?
Aino Weevil says, "What do you dislike about the Souls games?"
The
fans,
frame rate in Blighttown.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Blighttown in general.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
No, there's more to dislike. I think sometimes the menus can be a little bit better. Like, things could be a little bit clearer. I understand why. I completely understand why a lot of it is hidden away. I get that, right? But there are some things where you're just kind of like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, like in terms of, like, it's cool that story stuff is obfuscated, but like you know, like John was saying, the fact that you can get through like halfway through Dark Souls and be like, oh, my character's bullshit, and I can't really reverse that now. That's you know, for someone to sort of defend that, to be like, oh yeah, but you know, it's Dark Souls, it's meant to be difficult. No, fuck off. That is too much.
You can do it without leveling up. Fuck you! Fuck you in the fucking face.
And the thing is, for years I'd hear people say that, but what they never tell you is like, oh yeah, but I still leveled up my weapons so I can hit harder than you could hit. Because I watched a video of someone, Soul Level 1, Ornstein Smoke, and I was like, how the fuck do they do this? And it was hitting, it was like, they've got 3 times as much damage as I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to beat them.
Yeah,
it doesn't count.
Yeah, like the Soul Level 1 thing is interesting because it's like, yes, you're doing it without leveling up your character, but only because people have really gone out of the way to figure out loads of other really clever ways of increasing your damage output. Without leveling up. It's like you're still just like gaming the system. It's not, you know.
Mimics can fuck off. I don't get the joke. I don't find it funny. It's just cheap. I don't care. There'll be people.
Spot 'em, though.
I know. But the first 3 or 4 times, you don't pick up on that, do you, Sean? You just see a chest that you've opened hundreds of times before, but this one eats you, and you just kind of. I said what made it worse was that the first time you meet one in the original Dark Souls it's in the room with the lift. Now the lift has a instant death thing where if you stay on it for too long, it just chucks you into some spikes in the ceiling. But there's blood all over the lift, so there's enough to warn you about it. The Mimic, it was, the chain goes the other way, actually. Fuck off.
Okay, no, it's still not obvious, but if you sort of drop the camera a bit, you can see the mouth going, like you can see it breathing a little bit.
Yeah, but how are you supposed to know that the first time you play it? It was a bullshit death. I don't find it. And people made a joke of it. Oh, mimics, aren't they funny? No, they're not. They're not funny. They're crap.
I dislike what it says about human nature that in a game as difficult as Dark Souls that people find like genuinely quite upsetting at times just trying to get through it, that some people go, do you know what, I'm going to spend an afternoon invading people and making it worse.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, but that
happened to me in the bonfire in the bottom of the whatever that building is before Ornstein Smoke.
Yeah, in Orlando.
So yeah, I was trying to summon people, and this guy invaded, and all he'd do is shut the door, so you couldn't get out. Honestly, he just kept shutting the door, and I would stand in front of him, and he'd be stood there, and I was like, oh, okay, like if I attack this guy, he's easily going to kill me. So I sent him a message. I was like, listen, mate, I've got 2 kids. I've been trying to finish this game for 5 years. Like, I get it, but can you not? Because I just want to get through this. Yeah. And he just sent me one back and said, "Feed me phantoms." So I was like, okay, yeah. So I summoned someone. And I kept pointing at the door because I was like, "There's a guy there," but obviously I couldn't really communicate that. And he opened the door, and the guy just killed him straight away. And I was like, "Oh man, I feel like the worst guy ever." And then he got out of my way and let me continue.
I like the invaders now simply for that story. That was amazing.
Well, have you heard about the fashion police in Dark Souls 3?
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Just basically, there's someone who just invades people's games, calls himself the fashion police. And he just like just basically has a look at people's outfits, and if he likes what they're wearing, just like leaves them an item and then fucks off.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, does he kill him?
I think so. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's I can't imagine get like that grief for like just trying to wind you up, and then not just getting abuse, not getting anything, but just listen, mate. I've been trying to complete this game for 5 years. Please, just stand.
It was a really earnest message. I was like, I get it. I get that this is what you want to do for some reasons, but just someone else, please.
Yeah, this is funny, haha. But listen, not now.
If you want to kill me, if you want to just kill me, that's fine. Just kill me and do whatever you need to do. I don't mind that, but please don't just keep shutting the door. I'm trying to get out.
What happens if you rip the internet out when that happens? Do you just die instantly?
I think it returns you to the main menu.
Yeah, but
connection. But then you can just log back in.
So why wouldn't you do that every time you get invaded anyway?
Just because I don't know. It's like it'd be slightly more like it's probably quicker to just do the fight and get killed.
Yeah, I suppose. Ustivu says, I recently played Civilization 5, I guess that is, for 19 hours straight for a charity thing. What's the longest you have played a game for? Like, I'm assuming he means in one sitting. And
straight.
It's got to be Pro Evo, isn't it, really? Pro Evo or Halo.
Yeah, I think I did Halo. Mine is pathetic though. It's not even that long. It's like I think I did Halo 2 for like 9 hours, and then I went to bed with one of the worst headaches I've ever had in my life. It was years ago for a brief period when I was unemployed, and but that's not even that long, really. But it's fucking unhealthy. Don't do that. Don't even play for even half of that.
No, when you're younger, that don't matter, does it?
Oh, it did, because I thought I was going to die.
Did you? The only side of it, because I went round someone's house and we played Halo for literally about 12 straight hours. I think it was Halo 2. And I had that moment where I could not close my eyes without seeing like the shotgun symbol, stuff like that. That fucked me up. But Pro Evo, I had no. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've done a 12-hour session of that, and I could have gone on for more. It was just one of those games I could just play that non-stop. It was probably Pro Evo 2 or 3, like back in those days. Yeah. I could play football games forever. There were times where like the player that I was controlling just stood still, and people looked over at me. I was asleep with a pad in my hand, but still counts. Still counts. Time Splitters 2 might be up there as well, because we had some long ass sessions on that as well. Yeah, the old iLink, getting that USB cable between two PlayStation 2s and playing it over that. The good days.
I know we sort of half talked about it, and like half talked about doing a 24-hour podcast.
Yeah,
charity. I've never considered doing a 24 hours playing a game or whatever.
No.
I mean, I think the podcast experience would be miserable enough.
It'd be worse. I think I'd find the podcast harder than the playing.
Do you think?
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I could do 24 hours of playing a game. I mean, it would be hard, don't get me wrong, but podcasting, man, talking for 24 hours like straight. Fuck that.
Well, at least like with the podcast, you could be like, you could make sure that you had like rotating guests and stuff like throughout the
that don't count
thing, and does not count. Okay.
No, it's like a what they call it, Trigger's broom. I don't think it counts.
No, I mean, sorry, no, like you would stay on throughout, but like you would have other people coming in, so at least every 2 hours you'd be like, oh, thank fuck, someone new's here.
But then do you remember like
it's not a very nice way to say goodbye to someone.
do you remember the Christmas podcast sessions that we used to do? How drained you felt at the end of that? It was a mess. Okay, I've just seen what the time is, so we're going to rattle through these. I had no idea it was 10 to midnight. I apologise. Ada Black says, why does your intro music sound like it's ripped out of a forklift training video? Which I didn't even think of, but when you think about the intro music, yeah, absolutely, I can see what you're saying. So what I'm going to do here now is I've got 7 forklift training safety rules in front of me, and I'm just going to read them out, and then in the edit, I'm going to put our theme tune behind me. So here we go. Forklift safety rules. 1. Always wear a seatbelt while operating a forklift. 2. Know the load limits of the forklift before operating. 3. Keep your hands, arms and legs inside the lift truck. 4. Sound horn at blind corners and intersections. 5. Don't load the vehicle beyond its capacity. 6. Do not let anybody ride on the forks. 7. Don't drive like a cunt. There we go. So
we'll at some of those, but then I do know someone who worked in a factory where a man was crushed to death by a forklift truck.
Why bring that up?
Forklift truck safety is no joke.
Why bring that up? What were you getting out of
that? Just like ruin everyone's fun, basically.
Good. Transters says, what is the best video game bargain you've come across in your gaming lifetime? This is easy for me. $1.99 for Mass Effect 2 that had the DLC stuff in the box. Like it was still it wasn't activated. So yeah, amazing. what a fucking bargain that was.
I've got no memory, so I can't help so.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's been loads.
Good, it's fine because we're trying to get to the end.
That's fine.
I bought a Skylander for 25p today for Elliot.
Did you?
Cheap.
Does he own the game or does he just like the models?
Yeah, it's got like Skylanders maybe.
Loving it. Has he got any amiibo?
Yeah, he's got one.
Which one?
Mario with a fireball. He loves it.
I remember when James bought his round, right, and Harry was like, "Whoa, this is amazing." Farley was like, part of him, he knows he's a dad, and these are toys, and he should play with them. But the other side was like, "They're my amiibos, please." Like he instantly regretted giving it to him. He was like, "Please don't snap that bit." Right, MS Rangers 999 asks, with Titanfall 2 coming to the PS4, do you think COD will still win in terms of sales at Christmas? It's pretty mad, isn't it? Yeah. So Titanfall, Call of Duty and Battlefield all coming out at once. So I still think Call of Duty will win, but I've got a feeling it's going to be... I think a big chunk of that is... like that money is going away. It's got to, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a more even split than some people might expect. But... I don't know. Who cares?
To do the Michael, what's his name? Michael Proctor or whatever his name is.
Factor.
Yeah, email him, ask him. He'll probably know.
He'll know.
Knows all this shit, doesn't he? Right. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm just going to do Matt's bit, which is send us an email if you want. We're on computergames.com, Spong, Facebook. We're on YouTube. Just search Computer Games on YouTube. I'm sure it'll come up. We're on Twitch, but no one's using that at the moment because Matt's not got anything. And Twitter and that. Thanks for joining us, John. It's been brilliant having you on.
Matt's pain right now. I can feel him just like...
I know. I mean, that's the main reason why I'm doing it like that. John, it's been brilliant having you on. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's yeah. So, do you want to plug anything?
No.
Okay. Bye. Goodbye, everyone. Is that it? Should we leave it there?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. Oh, you didn't do the catchphrase, though.
Oh yeah, shit. Thank you for living it. Thank you for living it. Fuck it.